If you can't respect our national anthem, get the hell out of the country.
Former Chicago Bears head coach Mike Ditka.
Ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country.
I completely disagree with everyone on this table. I would never be okay with someone not saluting the flag.
There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for.
Call the Groin for a new investigation into the death of Elijah McClain, a 23-year-old.
Louisville police shot and killed 26-year-old Breonna Taylor in her apartment.
I'm only going to say what I feel. I think there's a way that you protest and there's a way you don't protest.
I don't understand how it's the wrong way. To me, this is a freedom that we're allowed in this country.
You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country.
You don't protest against the flag. You don't protest against this country.
It is no surprise Mike Ditka would love for athletes to shut up and dribble. He claims to be old school, so much so that he said Obama was the worst president ever and said the good old US of A needs leadership like Ronald Reagan.
Last night, I tell you, to watch that thing on television as I did. Yeah. To see those monkeys from those African countries.
You mean that guy, Coach? Ditka is a supporter of white supremacy. His remarks further outline this.
It was giving you the opportunity to make a living playing a sport that you never thought would happen.
So much for dreams and aspirations, am I right? Howard Bryant, speaking on Colin Kaepernick's sham workout last year, put it best.
Are you going to allow him to be the character, the person that he is? If you're not, then what you're really saying is that what you demand is black obedience. And that's the bottom line.
It also speaks to Ditka's opinion of being ungrateful. America's racial framework was being exposed through sports. The players were expected to perform, and just as the black Americans toiling without million-dollar contracts were expected to work, they weren't supposed to challenge or dispute the world in which they lived either. Ditka never valued the life of an athlete, just the body. He mentions Reagan, right? Bryant wrote, "Dissent was never popular, but during the Reagan 1980s, Americans grew hostile to union and identified more closely with management." Ditka practiced this methodology. Ditka is the guy who berated his own Bears players for not crossing a picket line when the NFLPA was on strike in 1987. He wants kneeling NFL players to leave the United States because they challenged the white hierarchy in this country. He speaks of there being no oppression in the last 100 years. When you tell someone who is descended from the enslaved people that built the United States to shut up or find another country, you are telling them in classic KKK fashion to go back to Africa. You have to be colorblind in this country. You have to look at a person for what he is and what he stands for and how he produces, not by the color of his skin, Ditka said. Colorblind statements insist that people do not see race, or if they see it, it has no meaning to them, wrote lecturer, author, and PhD Robin J. DiAngelo. In short, when Mike Ditka speaks, here's likely what you hear. Via who else? Mike Ditka.
So I'm going with the Giants.
Over the course of his career, Lou won nearly 250 games and is one of the highest ever, by the way.
Here's a racist, white supremacist president.
And I will say this about Lou, everybody loves him, everybody respects him, he's tough as hell, and yet they all respect Lou.
And a supporter of white supremacy, the Proud Boys, and Nazis marching, Lou Holtz.
I want to assure you how proud I am, not only to receive the award, I'm even prouder to receive it from President Donald Trump, who I think was the greatest president during my lifetime.
Really, Lou, this racist chud who endorses...
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Muslims being banned.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
The labels of Mexican people like this.
Why doesn't he show his birth certificate?
I think it ends when we have the election. When you're in a leadership role, Laura, you have to look at things from both points of view.
This is Hall of Fame coach Lou Holtz.
As a coach, I'd look at it from a player's point of view as well as from a coach's point of view.
We're going to create a new banner. This is a Jum Doc alert.
And the hypocritical Trump TV network.
The way it is right now, they just don't want to have sports. And there's no way in this world you can do anything in this world without a risk.
I mean, this is beyond football, though.
People stored Normandy. I took some grandchildren over there. They knew there was going to be casualties. They knew there were going to be risks, but it was a way of life.
Comparing Normandy to college football?
Shut up and dribble.
The underprivileged, the people from the poor neighborhood, where are they going to get an education? What's happened to our way of life?
Arizona, South Carolina, and Texas have all seen their death tolls jump by more than 100% in 4 weeks.
The state reported more than 5,100 COVID patients are currently hospitalized, another record high for the 15th consecutive day.
Florida hit a new record. 435 people were hospitalized for coronavirus.
Look at it from both points of view. The risk is always there.
Holtz went on White Supremacy Hour to bark sweet nothings into their old and crusty demographic for viewership, where the median age is 65 years old and the audience is 94% white. There's so much hypocrisy. Let's dig in.
The number one job in America, the point of person, is someone who doesn't understand the people.
When LeBron James critiqued the 45th president,
Must they run their mouths like that? This is what happens when you attempt to leave high school a year early to join the NBA.
do I have to explain this to you? Like, really, do I have to draw a picture for you to comprehend the Fox News double standard? A crusty white Republican can spew anything he wants inside and outside of his sport, including pure insanity. But when LeBron James and Kevin Durant make one political statement, it's stay in your lane. Holtz compared soldiers risking their lives, going into a literal battlefield, knowing they would likely not make it home, to conferences altering their schedules in the fall because, hey, the US isn't in a pandemic or anything. This is insane. After the Ivy League said, F this, we're not playing, and the Big Ten moved to strictly conference-only games in the fall, Holtz spilled the tea.
Now, if you eliminate all non-conference games, my son's head coach of Louisiana Tech, he should play Baylor, Vanderbilt, etc. Those are money games. Those are very, very important to him.
What's it all about?
Money, 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 money.
Speaking of Trump,
I used to be a Democrat, but that Democratic Party basically left me. Let's go back to Watergate. A couple attorney generals resigned because President Nixon wanted to do something that they thought was illegal, and they refused to do it. How's it compared to the way we run this country today?
well, you tell us, Lou. You tell us how this country is run today, if you can, or rather, how your extremist mind prefers it run.
Former Notre Dame head coach and former ESPN analyst Lou Holtz said the high number of immigrants coming to the United States constituted as an invasion, and that immigrants need to learn and speak English and become us.
Quite a racist is Lou Holtz, a man who called a former world leader that appreciated a good dose of genocide a, quote, great leader. Remember when Michael Jordan took flack for not endorsing Harvey Gantt? The opponent of Gantt, a noted racist, Jesse Helms, for North Carolina's Senate race, Helms once called the '64 Civil Rights Act the single most dangerous piece of legislation ever introduced in Congress. Guess who backed him?
Greetings. I'm Lou Holtz.
You guessed it, Lou freaking Holtz.